the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6 or Z Fold 6, right? Now, we both switched to it when it was released. Are you still using it as your daily, or have you switched back?
No, I'm still using it as a daily. Okay. I actually don't have any of my phones here. So I was going to show it, but I do. They're all downstairs.
Don't worry, we'll throw some B-roll in there. Editor, throw some B-roll quickly. Cover this up. So I actually used it, and there was a lot that I liked about it. So I did cover this in my my review, which was a different type of review. It wasn't a traditional review that you would have of a, like I normally would do a review. It was more about what I think Samsung needs to change, right? Now, initially, let's just talk about what we like, right? I like the fact that you've got 7 years of software updates, which you're not going to find on any of the foldable. I do like the refinements, even though it's not a drastic design change. I like the flatter edges, kind of goes in line with the Note series that we've had. I like the matte finish around the sides. I like the software features. The AI features are quite fun. Like, I've had so much fun just, changing people's outfits on pictures and things like that, right? And just to mention on a side note, I was a little bit concerned about the terms and conditions, about, what happens to those images and what rights Samsung has. I did ask Samsung a question. They've clarified that anything that you generate through something like sketch to image, those images you still own. Samsung just has the rights to edit them, which they need to do to apply these AI filters. But once that's done, you own that image. They can't go around doing crazy things with it. So they have confirmed that with me, which is good.
Thank God.
Because before I was kind of like, because I was reading the content terms and I was like, this sounds kind of shady, because to me it seemed like they could pretty much do what they wanted with those pictures, but that doesn't apply to the generative AI stuff. That applies more to stuff that you would publish, because then they do need the rights to publish that on their website if you publish something within the Samsung platform. So that's just something clarified, which was quite good. But yeah, I have actually really enjoyed those features, and it's been a lot of fun using the device from that perspective. What about you? What do you like? Let's start with the positives.
I do like the refinements. I think that even it's just the way the edges are holding the phone, the weight is quite noticeable on it, and even the thinness. Like, it's not a super thin like some of the Chinese manufacturers, but it's still thin and it feels comfortable to hold. I like the battery life. For me, that was also quite impressive with it.
Okay.
I think the cameras have been solid too as well, because I actually used it. I went from Paris to London, so taking photos and stuff like that was pretty good. But I was pleasantly surprised with the refinements, because once I saw the leaks, I was like, yeah. And I think the refinements won me over to actually make my very first I switched video, because I really haven't done that before, and I wanted to kind of jump in and try and use it.
You just wanted the views. Stop making all this up, man. You just wanted the views. You see,
look, guys, they haven't listened to Saf at all. Saf is just hating, just plain hate. That's it. That's not true. That's not true. But yeah, I'll say those are the things. Yeah. And the views. Yeah, anyway.
Mainly the views, because this is what I do, because I actually been doing this as a tradition since I'd say the first Fold, pretty much, is that every year I switch to the Fold and I use it like properly, not like just like I put my SIM card into it and I use it. I actually switch off my other phone, so my S24 Ultra was switched off, and it was one of my primary phones, so I can really feel how it is. So when I say I'm switching, I'm actually not lying. I am switching to it. I didn't do that last year, and that was because I didn't feel that there were enough improvements, right? So I did not switch to the Fold, so I didn't use that. My actual title was why I'm not switching. But anyway, I agree with some of your points, but the things that I mentioned in my review video, firstly was the front cover screen. It's still not wide enough for me. Okay, sure, it's okay for your day-to-day, but it's just way too narrow. I kind of found myself having to open the main screen up more, right? Which I know a lot of people are going to say that's the whole point of it, but my sort of the way I use it, and you can let me know if that's how you use it as well. For me, the ideal foldable is for my day-to-day, when I'm just doing some casual scrolling through social media, when I'm responding to my messages and things like that, I'm happy to use it as just a regular smartphone, right? Now, when I want to game, when I want to do some multitasking, when I want to email, right? Then I open it up. When I want to see some images, when I would use the S Pen and I want to use that canvas, right? Now, that would be my personal usage. So then it would be around 60% of the time using the cover display and around 40% of the time using the folded open display. What would you say would your usage, ideal usage would be?
No, absolutely. It's work in front, party inside.
Okay.
Straight up. That is
I like that.
That is it. I mean, I agree because whenever, especially with the, Samsung has that new case now, the one with the strap, that's one I'm using. It also has a kickstand. And I found myself just anytime I want to watch a video, I will watch it on the cover screen. If it's longer than say like a TikTok or watching YouTube, I just open it up and just put it on the kickstand and put it by my desk, and that's it, done. So to me, you're absolutely right. Like especially for me typing, my thumbs are large, and literally my thumb just goes across and over past the phone itself.
It's crazy.
So it's just hard for me to type with two hands. I have to use one-handed typing, and Saf will tell you already I'm terrible.
Yeah, there's only like, I think I'm probably the only guy who can actually understand what he's saying. It's probably me, your wife, and maybe somebody else. I'll say somebody, right? But there are very few limited people that can actually understand what Enabong say, because half of it is just gibberish. It's like, you don't need encryption. Why do you need end-to-end encryption? Just write whatever. Nobody else will understand it. Just I will.
Yes, I should move into the encryption business.
Yeah, you should do. But the thing is, my point is that a lot of people I get some people prefer it, right? But for me, if you look at every other competitor, right, whether that be the OnePlus Open, the Honor Magic V2, or now we're going to have the V3 coming up soon, or if you even look at the Vivo X Fold 3 Pro, they all have wider front displays, which are way more usable, and you can use them as a regular smartphone. But then when you want to party and when you want to do something that's a bit more productive, then you can use that main display. So would you say that ratio of the ideal usage of a foldable phone, 60% on the cover screen, 40% on the big screen? Would you agree? Okay.
I do agree, yeah.
Now here's my thing. My usage actually flips on the fold. Because on the Z Fold 6, what I was finding is that I would only be using the cover screen between 30 to 40% of the time, and I would be using the main display around 60 to 70% of the time, purely because the cover screen isn't usable in my opinion, right, for most things. Now that kind of switched my usage, and I'm then using a tablet which I'm then folding rather than using a smartphone which I'm opening, right? It kind of flipped the way I was using it. Now, in turn, that had an impact on my battery life, because obviously if you use the large screen more, you're going to be taking up more battery, right? Now, I'm not saying that, let me just clarify, I'm not saying that the battery life on the Z Fold 6 is bad by any means. It's good, but it's just not, especially if you're using the large screen quite a lot, it does take up a lot of battery, and it wasn't as good as my iPhone and my S24 Ultra, which all have bigger batteries, right? Well, I'm not sure if the iPhone has, but yeah, the S24 Ultra has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, whereas the Z Fold 6 only has a 4,400 milliamp hour battery, which isn't great, right? So now my point was that if you make the device slightly wider, then you'd be able to fit in a slightly larger battery, right?
Yes.
So that was my argument.
No, absolutely. One of the things that I mentioned, I remember when we had our pre-briefings and we were looking at the device, I'm there with Danny Wingett, and we both looked at it, and I was like, this needs an extra 3 millimeters. Exactly that, because that would actually get you a bigger battery and also an S Pen. Because remember, it is a flip. I'm sorry, it folds open, so which means you can stack the batteries whichever way you want and have the S Pen on one side as opposed to the other, right? So basically you have just more real estate for that. For me, most of my usage is still on the cover display. I'm still close to that 60-40 ratio. It's a bit more annoying, but I'm still used to that. But I do agree that the times that I've spent say watching more content or even just gaming on there or doing anything, or even like just looking at emails and constantly replying to emails directly off that main display, I will see a different battery usage from day to day. Because the way I usually calculate my battery usage, I don't like screen on time. I think it's pretty foolish. It's just how I use it from day to day, because also most smartphones nowadays learn your usage. So when you flip it around, and I started just kind of using it more with the larger display, I'm seeing, okay, normally I charge around like 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 7 p.m. Oh, okay, cool. Why is that? Like, why is it earlier? And you realize that, like you said, the larger display is doing
this is the thing. Now with the S Pen, again, like I'm using the S Pen case, which is fine, but you mentioned that you like the weight of the device, right? But then as soon as you've got the case on there, it increases it by about 40 something grams, right? So then it's no longer, it loses that, right? Whereas if the S Pen was kind of built in, then you wouldn't have to have, I mean, don't get me wrong, the case has gotten thinner and thinner every year, right? But the case with the S Pen increases the weight and increases the size of an already thick device, right? So for me, I would want it embedded, right? The other thing I would want the S Pen is for it to work on the front cover display, right? Now, I get that they would have to put the digitizer and stuff behind the front display as well, but Honor have done it with the Porsche design. You can use their stylus both on the main display as well as the cover display. Because if I want to jot something down quickly, I want to do it on the cover screen. And the other thing, this is like actually kind of like a unique scenario, yeah? I was at a wedding recently, and then, I had like my nieces and nephews around and stuff, and they wanted to try the sketch to image because it's really fun, right? And I'm like giving them the pen on that main display, and I'm thinking, can you please like not press too hard on it? Because you know what kids are like, they're like, right? And I was like, oh man, only if this worked on the cover screen, because then I wouldn't have to worry about it, because then they could just draw away on the cover screen, and I wouldn't have to worry about, are they going to damage that, the main display, because you're not supposed to press down on it too hard, right? It gives you a warning when you initially set the device up. So you can't really like dig your nails into anything like that as well. So like I was just thinking to myself, I was like, man, only if it worked on the cover display. And a lot of people say to me like, if they want to just quickly jot something down, they don't want to do this. They just want to like pop it out and then just start noting down. And that's another thing that I think they definitely need to include.
Oh no, absolutely. I think you're right. I think one of the things that annoys me with this device, which we might talk about with this device and as well as also the Buds, is part of me feels like Samsung is not innovating as much as they should, or they're holding the innovation back, which kind of leads me to a recent statement by the head of Samsung, who basically, at least not publicly, but basically stated that he was pissed at the mobile team for copying Apple. That's literally how it was put out, right? And we know very well that, for instance, a lot of the panels and displays that almost every other foldable manufacturer is using is from Samsung. I can tell you personally, the designs that we've seen, I have seen them were from Samsung display. The thinness, all that stuff. I've already seen it from a division of Samsung, and it's public. It's not like they're hiding that part. So why don't we have it in a Samsung device?
This is the thing. I totally agree with you. Like if we look at the evolution of the Fold series, right, from the Fold 1 to the Fold 2, big jump, right? Okay, we had like a tiny screen on the Fold 1, on the Fold 2 it was much larger, much better, etc., right? But then since then, it's just been incremental. There's not been any drastic changes onto the design. I mean, yes, there's been incremental changes, but there's not been any drastic changes for the design of the Fold 6, right? For the Fold series. Now, the other thing that I, kind of mentioned was the cameras, right? Look, you said the cameras are really good. I agree, the cameras are really good. But guess what? This device is quite a bit more. I believe it's $700 more in the US compared to the S24 Ultra. And in the UK, it's about £550 more compared to the S24 Ultra. That is a price where you could buy a whole other device, right? Okay.
Yes.
So you are paying significantly more, and I get it because it's a folding device. You've got two displays, etc., etc. But I think the cameras should at least match the S24 Ultra, in particular the primary camera. The 200 megapixel primary camera. Why don't we have that on the Z Fold 6? The periscope zoom camera, I kind of understand that, it'd make the device potentially thicker as well. But again, others have done that, right? Maybe you design it where you have a slightly bigger camera bump, but then the rest of the device is super thin. So then it kind of, balances it out that way. A few of these things that I think that, again, push the Z Fold 6 down when you look at the competition.
Oh no, absolutely. And that's the part that I'd say frustrates me, because we know Samsung is capable of doing every single thing we mentioned, fully capable. They can do that, but they are not looking. I don't know whether it's because there's no direct competition within the US for them, or even maybe most of the other markets, even though yes, there are other manufacturers out there, but they don't have that, somebody hitting them on the head and going like, okay, we need to make that change. But it's also hard to justify to some people why you should pick up the Z Fold 6 when the price has gone up, especially anyone who's trying to upgrade from last year. Now, if you're 2 generations behind, 3 generations behind, sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's fair enough. But from last year, it makes no sense. So I think Samsung really has to, and like I said, I was very happy that the head of Samsung said what he said. Maybe that jolts them to understand that, hey, look, guys, we're the ones who pushed a lot of innovation in this industry. And right now, everybody else is beating us at that, And then the last thing, of course, is like fast charging. At this point, I really don't care that much of wireless charging I used to. But the fact that everyone is beating you at fast charging, other than Apple. And Apple could easily just match you or even get slightly higher if they wanted to. So you're second to last in something that you kind of pushed.
Well, see, the thing for me, my argument always when it comes to fast charging, right, is that if you've got great battery life, I'm not too fussed about fast charging, because guess what? I know it's going to last me throughout the day, and then I can just drop it on my wireless charger when I'm going to sleep. I'll wake up, job done, right? So if you have excellent battery life, then I'm not too bothered about fast charging. Guess what? The Z Fold 6 does not have excellent battery life. It might be good, but it's not excellent. So you should at least give us faster charging if you can't increase the battery size too much, if it's going to increase the size and the weight of the device, right?
No, I agree. I think these are the things that just, continue.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Obviously, we could carry on. But so my sort of conclusion is that we need a Galaxy Fold 7 Pro or Ultra, right? If it's Samsung, they probably call it an Ultra, right? So next year, because the thing is, there's going to be a lot of people that argue, no, the front screen's fine. We like a smaller front screen, right? There's going to be people saying that, if you increase the front screen in terms of make it wider, it's also going to make the main display wider, which is currently, the sweet spot for them. Okay, I understand that. Okay, so when it comes to the Z Fold 7, okay, give us the Z Fold 7, but lower the price significantly, around the 1,500 mark, right? Okay?
Yeah.
Which is a bit more reachable, right? Now, for the price of this year's Fold 6, right, give us a Fold 7 Ultra, okay? Now, the Fold 7 Ultra would have a wider display, right? It would have the embedded S Pen. It would have a bigger battery, okay? It would have, cameras that would match the
S25
S Ultra series. Yeah, the S25 Ultra series, right? Now, this is a thing. Now, even if it was, look, I understand that might cost them a bit more and stuff like that. But even if it was like around, up to $2,000 maximum, I think there would be a market for that personally, right? Now, that would be granted that obviously if you carry on doing what you're doing because you've got a customer base for it, but now you bring in a whole new customer base who are those enthusiasts who want all of these features, and you're giving them alongside those 7 years of updates and all the Samsung AI, Galaxy AI features which you're offering, which others have not yet caught up to.
I agree. For those 4 features you mentioned should be it. I think Samsung needs to rethink its philosophy and decide that the Fold, aka which took over the Note's timing, needs to be their best device. Yes. Doesn't mean it takes away from the S24, 25 Ultra, because the Ultra is the best in just a candy bar format. But when you have the Fold, you now have the best of both worlds, both in candy bar and foldable.
Yeah, and I don't think it would cannibalize the sales of the S25 Ultra either, because remember, it's going to be for about, around $700 more. So it's just like, only people who want the folding screen, right? Essentially, people who want an S25 Ultra but with a folding display, right, would pay that additional amount for it. Everybody else would just go ahead and get the S25 Ultra, right? Now, for those people, you'd be getting, like for people like me and you, I could see myself using that device throughout the year without any issues. Like I'd be just, that's it. This is my go-to. I'm gonna use it every day. And like that's what I've been doing with the S24 Ultra. But I do miss, I'm not gonna lie, since I switched back to the S24 Ultra, I do miss that when I'm kind of showing somebody a picture. Like it was kind of default for me. If I'm showing somebody a picture, I would open the display and I'd show them like, here, look at this. Look at my screen. You know what I mean? So it was just one of those things that I kind of got used to. And it's like, you can't display things better in that way. Like, like you've just got double the screen size. It's beautiful. And, the main screen is really good, right? So Samsung, listen to us. Give us the Samsung Galaxy Z7 Ultra or Z6 Ultra, if that's going to come later this year or whatever, right? I'm going to take full credit for it.
5%. That's all I need.